everyone, my name is Ghast, and welcome to part number dos for the Fire Emblem Three Houses Ask Ghast. We are going to jump into it after I finish that sip of coffee. Anyways, so, first question is, what classes are you planning to make all your units, and what weapons are you going to train them in? So, I'm picking Blue Lions. So, Mercedes, I think I'm just going to have her stick with magic and maybe archery and maybe bows. So, I'm probably just going to keep her as she is in terms of what her classes can be. Ash, I think I might make him into like a thief. But then again, there's not a lot of archers around here. I'm not sure if I'll recruit like another archer or if I'll just keep Ash as an archer. But I'm thinking of making him into a thief. I think that'd be pretty cool. We haven't really seen, I don't think we've seen really a lot of the thief class. Annette, I'm going to keep her as she is because she's a great mage. She has a great assist. Wow, what game are we playing? She has a great personal. And this house doesn't have like a lot of magic, so I think like keeping magic and maybe even getting another magic user would be a good idea. Sylvain, I think I'm going to keep him into a paladin. I think he's going to do extremely well in that. Ingrid, probably a fly. Like again, like I'm just going to mostly stick to the same things. Dimitri is going to be another cavalier guy. Deju is going to be a heavy armor, and Felix. I just kind of like all the classes and stuff, but I think the biggest one I would switch might be Ash. Outside of that, I think I'm going to stick with that. Maybe Deju into a brawler. Or like having him gauntlet or like gauntlet specific. Felix might be with, gauntlets as well, but everyone seems that it seems like quite like a balanced team. Maybe getting another mage, like maybe if I could recruit Linhardt or Marianne just to kind of add on to the mages, but I feel like two healers and two mage focus units are going to be pretty helpful anyway. The rest of the characters aren't really super great at magic, so like I said, probably recruiting another mage. Do you think Jeralt will be relevant to the plot and of the whole story, or just for Byleth's character development? I guess the father this time just won't die early in the game and we will actually do something important. I'm not sure. I don't really know. He probably does die early. We haven't really seen anything about him post time skip in terms of the trailers that I've seen. I think he'll probably be relevant for a decent part of it until the time skip where he probably dies because of that my dad's dead scene. So I guess I don't know, like I feel like he might be, but he might just be a Grail the second, which is kind of what he's leaning towards. Do you feel like the monastery is too bloated of a hub area? To me, it feels like there's too much to particularly care about, and it doesn't help that there's options that's just better than other mechanics. Why spend your gauge fishing when you can do side quests? I'm kind of feeling the same way, honestly. I probably won't be going around doing everything. Like, it's hard enough for me to do everything for, like, heroes and, like, doing arena, which I literally never do because I don't really find the value in it. If I don't really find a lot of value in a particular activity, I'm not going to really do it. So I kind of feel the same way, but, it's targeting so many audiences. So I'm definitely going to prioritize other mechanics over others, especially because I don't want to spend my entire life playing Blue Lions. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to get to the good stuff, make sure that the episodes that come out are, like, they're fun to watch and they're engaging, not that I'm just, like, dicking around playing playing a fishing minigame the entire time. Is there going to be some kind of twist to your playthrough of Three Houses, like an Iron Man? Not the first one. Not the first playthrough. What class would you put Byleth in? That's a good one. Probably like a mercenary, like that line. Probably, but honestly, like I'm not sure, because Felix would be a good sword guy. Then there's Ghast. Wow, Byleth. So maybe swords. I'll probably stick with that for Origin of the Creator sword because that's a great ass sword. It looks like. Thoughts on the black flangs, and what is your favorite and least character of that group? Like, the actual Black Fangs? Lloyd, and my least favorite's, like, probably Ursula, I guess. Do you think that the students are going to have a big role in the... Yeah, I don't know. I think some are probably going to have bigger ones than others. Like, I feel like Felix and Deju are probably going to play a bigger role than, like, Mercedes or something. But or like I think Hubert's gonna play a bigger role than Casper when it comes to like post time skip. I'm pretty sure there are some characters that you can't recruit to the other class, like Hubert and stuff. Will you buy me a Switch? Sorry, boss. Best girl, Annette, I think. Do you predict that the teachers will be available in all houses or divided? Probably all houses. I think they're just gonna have options on who you can take with you, but I'm pretty sure all, because you need to learn all your skills, right? You can't just like, I don't think there's gonna be a teacher that's exclusive to one house because they each teach different things. Who's the dummy thickest character? Who's the dummy thickest character? I'll have to wait for the official art to come out, because the reason why Silk is coined as Thilk is because her official art has her booty like popping like crazy, so we have to see for that. What is your opinion on 3 houses only having a hard mode since they haven't revealed a supposed unlockable difficulty mode? Will you start on hard? Yeah, I'll start on hard. I think it'll be fun to start on hard. I never want to start normal or easy because like usually, like, I mean, I started on Conquest on Lunatic and I beat it. So I don't, like, bring it on, dude. I can take on anything. What do you think of the OST so far? Could it have the potential to top Shadows of Valencia for the best soundtrack? Yeah, I don't know, probably. Like, the soundtrack right now is really great, but I feel like they want to show like their best, like a lot of their good stuff early on to get people hyped. But I think the soundtrack is going to be like unbelievably good. Sometimes I'm just like in my room and I'll just be like din 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 bum 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 like that. I'll just like hum and like sing the theme because it's super catchy. Why do people sleep on Annette? I don't know. I don't know why people sleep on Annette. She's the best. She's great. What's your opinion on the look of the relic weapons? They're the coolest weapons ever. They're so cool. Like, they're awesome. I want to see all of them. They look badass. They look so sick. I love them. What are your thoughts on Fire Emblem 3 Houses taking a lot of inspiration from genealogy? It's a great idea. It's a great game. I mean, mechanically, it's not... And mechanically, it's solid. It's not my cup of tea, because even though... Like, the map sizes is just, like, too much for my attention span. Like, I get and I watched the Chaz video, and I agreed with most of it. But for me, personally, I like to feel like there's like a solid start and end to a map, rather than just like, oh, we're gonna take over this chapter, or take over this castle, and we'll consider that a chapter. I like that. I like a beginning and an end. It feels more complete to me and easier for me to kind of like wrap my head around. I like those small bits. But yeah, inspiration from genealogy is good, because if outside of like people memeing on the story and like the big reveal, like in a vacuum, the story's amazing. The story's great. If you have no outside information coming in and you get to experience FE4. I didn't get the pleasure of doing that. I didn't even know who Sigurd was for a long time, but people have memed on it. People have memed on FE4's story so much, it's like impossible to like come in blind. Like, it's really tough. Would you like to see a winter battle at some point in the game? Like, winter as in like a weather condition? Sure. Who is Byleth's mother? Ashura. I don't know. Do you want the rumored 4th Path DLC? Yeah. Of course, I made it. Peach Beavers all the way, baby. For each house, who's your favorite character overall and least favorite? Oh man, there's like a billion questions here. Okay. Favorite character overall? Sylvain. Least favorite? I keep saying it, Hilda. Best design? Probably Annette or Marianne or... yeah, probably those two. Or Claude. Or Edelgard. Edelgard's probably my favorite. Least favorite? Oh, I already answered that. Best waifu and worst waifu. Oh, I hate these questions. Post timeskip Annette is just the character I'm looking forward to see the most. Worst waifu? Hilda, I guess? Like, it's just like, it's gonna be a meme eventually that I'm just gonna keep shitting on Hilda. There's one guy in the comments who always talks about how Hilda is his favorite, and I just feel bad because I'm always just like crapping on her unintentionally. Favorite house overall? Blue Lions. Least favorite? Black Eagles. Best noble? Dimitri, worst. Edelgard, probably. I just think she has, like, the least to offer right now. Well, maybe not. I feel like she will have the most to offer once we actually see the story, but right now, from, like, the pre-release stuff, it just feels like people have gone from loving Edelgard to not loving her as much and loving Dimitri and Claude more. Yeah. What kind of DLC do you want to see for Three Houses? Ideally, there'd be none, but what would you pay? Oh boy, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, the classic: more maps, more characters, some reskins. You know what? I don't really care for reskins that much, to be honest. Yeah, so more maps, more DLC for characters and playing and stuff. What do you think about the future of the franchise? If Three Houses does well because of the new mechanics, do you think it'll limit the settings for the plots? I mean, I honestly think Fire Emblem is one of those franchises that literally just, like, they do so much bizarre things. Like, they're so hard to read. You cannot predict intelligence systems. You literally can't. Like, I would consider, like, I've always thought that Fire Emblem was, like, one of the bigger, more influential franchises of Nintendo, even though, like, the sales and the popularity doesn't really count. I don't really think I think being a game that has 16 entries plus, like, spin-offs since, like, the early 90s qualifies you as, like, a big time franchise. I don't think there's a lot of series that you can count off the top of your head that have more than, like, 13 entries in it. And for Fire Emblem to have so many and, you know, go through so much to get to where it is now, and to always be one of those franchises that, like, do so much interesting and so much, like different things. Like, you know what a Mario game is, right? You know what a Zelda game is. Like, the formula doesn't really change that much. And, like, at its core, a Mario game is, like, a game where you're a plumber and you jump a lot and you collect things. And mechanically, like, jumping doesn't really change, or it does change, but the objectives don't really change that much. Zelda's the same way. Like, I played Oracle of Seasons, of Ages, Link to the Past, Minish Cap, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and they all kind of follow a path. And then you have, like, Fire Emblem, who goes from, like, Fire Emblem 1 to, like, 2, which is really crazy, even though, like, Zelda 1 and Zelda 2, like, they were super different. But, like, the games always just, like, radically change their mechanics, and I feel like they can do that because there's so many things that go into a Fire Emblem game. It's not just, like, whip a sword around and kill things. It's like, nope, you gotta focus on characters and stats, and it's like a super RPG with, like, a billion characters and stuff, even though that's not, but you know what I mean. So, what am I even talking about? I always get on these weird rambles, and I forget what I'm talking about. The unpredictable, I guess. The future is super unpredictable, and you have no idea what's going to happen. But I don't think it's going to predict the plot. I mean, the plot is just different all the time. And I think that's what makes the franchise so fresh, is because they always just make these giant risks, and I feel like you have to respect that. If you're either a game designer or, like, someone who, like myself, who, like, works on ROM hacks and stuff, like, what Fire Emblem does to, like, be creative is, I think, really inspiring. As someone who, like, thinks about design and maps and stuff like that and mechanics. It's really crazy that they always set the bar, and they always, like, set the standard for me, at least. Why doesn't the Sword of Creation have a crest in it like the others, and do you think it ever will? Like the ball? The orb stone thing? Yeah, it will. I don't know why it doesn't. Probably because they got rid of it to get rid of the power of the sword. I don't know. This doesn't pertain to me personally, but do you think Three Houses will be the game to bring the separated fan bases of the series together? Yes, and also people who aren't even fans of Fire Emblem to this game. Like, the amount of people who are, like, talking about Fire Emblem is, like, so surreal. I don't know, it's just, like, so crazy. There's so many big, like, media conglomerates, like, talking about it, and so many, like, it just seems like it's, I don't know, it's, like, weird. It is weird. It is weird to think about that, like, it's become such a mainstream thing that, like, Nintendo wants everyone to play Fire Emblem. I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, it's just reaching massive popularity now, and, like, people want to play Fire Emblem, and people can't really avoid playing it now. It's like, it's just being pushed so hard. Like, granted, there's not a lot of like Nintendo IPs or new Nintendo games that are coming out around like we're in the 4 days, so obviously they'd want to push it, but this is the amount of marketing is next level. I've never even seen like game periods get this advertised. Like, it's on every YouTube ad I ever see, basically. Well, it's catered to me, but voice actors are like involved in the promotion. Nintendo itself is Twitter. It's just like, what other game equates to this sort of advertising? I have no idea. Like, I literally don't know. I mean, I only pay attention to one series basically, so maybe I'm completely wrong, but man, it just seems like they do it all the time. It's crazy. They haven't stopped advertising for the game. Was just curious on your thoughts about Byleth and him and her being the supposed avatar. I feel as though I should have just made them their own characters since they're barely customizable. I don't really think he is the avatar. I don't think Byleth is the avatar at all. I think they're just a blank slate character because, yeah. I mean, they have a role, but I mean, I don't really think you should consider them an avatar. I think they're their own character. Like, you can't even name them. Oh wait, you can name them. Yeah, their name and gender? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really think I think they should be. I think they're going to be considered their own character. I feel like this is a game that, even though it is not considered an avatar, like in the same likes of Robin and Corrin, like, I don't really care. I'm not really I don't really care about Byleth's development. I care more about everyone else kind of going around. So, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but I'm not really fazed about it. What are your thoughts on the future of the franchise? Do you think the next game will be an amazing remake Echo style, something different and innovative like Three Houses, or going back to simple but effective stuff like... This is like a crazy set the stage game where I'm not sure if they can... I'm sure they'll follow up with it, but I don't know. I think they might make another Echo style game. Like, I think the Switch is a big enough platform where you can do some crazy stuff, like a lot more complicated things, like FE4 or FE5, or like a Path of Radiance remake, which I think would be quite necessary, or like an Elite remake. I would love to see an Echo style remake again. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll make like a super sequel to like Three Houses in the future, but I don't think they're going to go backwards, honestly. I think the only time if they'd go backwards is to remake an old game, but if they ever once they make like Fire Emblem 17, I'm sure there's going to be some hiccups with some Three Houses mechanics, because I feel like there's just so many that for them to nail it down perfectly on the first try would be like super impressive and super rare. What do you think of the classes being able to use any weapon, and do you think it's a feature that we should see in the future? I think it's realistic towards like this kind of game. I think it's good because it's not like it's completely broken. Like, you still need to get weapon ranks, and you still need to like get better at the weapons themselves. And it's not like you can just like wield any weapon you want all the time. It's like it takes work and it takes resources, limited resources to get whatever weapon you want on a certain character. So I think it's a good feature. I think it works really well for this game in particular. I think the being able to use whatever you want is really, really balanced around the rest of the game here. So we don't know if there will be 2 sets of supports, one for each phase of the game. In the case there is only one, it implies that most of its stuff can be covered at the time of the school phase. Do you think that, for instance, if only the A support would be unlocked during the war phase, would the supports be able to be good despite the fact that they could only cover so little of the changes that happened to the characters during 5 years? That is a good question. I didn't really consider that. Yeah, you can only go C and B before the war phase, right? So I don't know how supports really work in this game. So maybe that will hamper on the quality of the writing there. So I guess we'll have to see. What are your general thoughts on the gameplay? Do you already see things that excite you about it, or that you don't like about it? Maybe what you said before, but maybe the kind of FE gameplay that you prefer. GPA style, Super NES, Awakening, Kaga 1. I can't really criticize it because there's nothing that's really kind of worried me yet. Or if I was worried about it, then now I'm not, because I was kind of like, my worries were taken care of in another video or another trailer or another news article that it released. Nothing from what I've seen from the gameplay looks terrible or concerning. I just have nothing really to complain about. That's kind of what it comes down to. Thoughts on crests? They seem super mysterious and important, and they're really What I am curious about is what it means to be a crest bearer. That's what I'm intrigued about. I want to know what it means that Sylvain has the Gautier crest. What does it do for him? What does it give him? Why does Felix have a major crest and nobody else does? Or that kind of thing. I want to know like what it means to have a crest. Clearly there's some social relevance to it, but what makes a major better than a minor? Or are majors more important than minors? Because clearly not having a crest is better than not having a crest is way worse than having one, because you'll get disowned by your family. Will Sothis be exclusive to story only elements, or will she take part somehow in the gameplay? Do you have hope for FE4? Do you have hope FE4 will be remade? Yeah, I think so, but I'd rather see other games be remade first. Do you think characters will die from your party similar to Scarlett and Fates? Yup. How's your day going? Just started, pretty tired. What do you think of the Fire Emblem community after all this 3H hype compared with it how it used to be, especially compared to communities like Smash Bros and Pokemon that are kind of a mess? I love it. My nose is so itchy. I love it, man. I think the 3H hype like should just keep going. I think it's so funny how like the Hose Mad thing is out. How like everyone seemed to rally around Fire Emblem at this point. No real huge controversies have happened. Like really it's just pure positivity. Like everyone who is involved is just so cool, and like, because I'm not really part of it, so I don't know, but there's been a lot of like bad things that have happened from Smash Bros communities. And like that community gets memed on so hard, and the Pokemon community is like, maybe not the community, but like the news around Sword and Shield is such a disaster. It seems like I'm not an authority to talk about it. I'm just saying what I'm seeing. But then you have Fire Emblem, who like has been through a lot for as far as like we as the community goes. Whatever community really means to people. People don't like Fire Emblem. They're like a lot. I shouldn't say people don't like Fire Emblem. Like some people are inclined to dislike Fire Emblem because of what they were told, because of what people say about it, and not actually playing the game itself, which I think is very ignorant. But I think, because of the advertising and because of the positivity around it, especially as a contrast to everything else that goes on, I feel like people are starting to kind of see how good Fire Emblem is going to be, or just is in general, instead of just kind of like plugging their ears and just kind of ignoring it. I don't really think it's a game you really can ignore anymore, to be honest. Like, or at least it's way harder to just kind of throw Fire Emblem to the side and be like, oh, we're just going to play Pokemon instead. It's like, well, no. Like, Fire Emblem Three Houses is shaping up to be an amazing game. Everyone's talking about it. A bunch of news media or games media are talking about it. It's a really, really highly anticipated game. And Fire Emblem in general has gotten really big too because of Heroes. So, I think compared to the other two, I think it's just so good, so good. I wouldn't really know how. It'd be weird to be in a game community where there's so many bad things that happen, or not so many, but like a lot of bad things that happen. But like Fire Emblem, I feel like it has a clean slate for the most part, or now has one, in compared to like the crazy scandals that happen with Fates, or the crazy stuff that happened in that kind of at that Fire Emblem time in the timeline. Whew. Okay, so I'm gonna stop this one here. This was part 2, and we are going to I'm probably gonna make another video on this later in the day, because I do want to get through all of them, but there's almost 300 comments, and a lot of them are thankfully the same, so hopefully I can answer them all before the 26th. But I just have to go to work in 20 minutes, so I gotta bounce. Anyways, guys, take care. Hope you enjoy. Peach Beavers for life.